Welcome to the Plain and Dirt Podcast, episode number 12. We're on location here at Slate Valley Raceway, Fairhaven, Vermont. Interviewing Kevin Wade. Host today is Willie G and TC. Ryan's out of town. I swear he's not fired.
I'd fire him.
I mean, let's be honest. I almost fired him.
That's not good.
Yeah. We're not going to go over results today since we're interviewing Kevin Wade, but a few things to note is outdoor season's upon us. This week, Foxtrot starts on Tuesday, and I-41 starts on Friday. And also, the UST race number 2 is at full throttle this weekend on May 2nd. And we're going to switch gears real quick. We got Kevin Wade on the show right here.
Yeah,
Hello,
Kevin.
everybody.
We're
Thanks
gonna-
for coming out to the track and inviting me to do the podcast. It's pretty exciting. Looking to dig into some stuff here and talk about some RC racing.
Yes. So we're going to blab to him and ask him a shit ton of questions. A little too much questions. As I look at my papers here, I got a whole sheet full of
That's
questions.
all right. Put
But-
his hand on the fire.
Yeah, hopefully they'll ask a question. We'll see where it leads, right?
Yeah. Other than that, we're going to start off here. First question. How'd you get involved in RC racing, and what led you to owning and promoting the Slate Valley Raceway?
Oh, that's a long one. So, a little bit of background on myself. I was always in construction and stuff like that, and I was a partner with my brother, and he was involved with racing at Devil's Bowl Speedway, a couple minutes north of here, and during the wintertime back in, I think it was 2022, the winter of 22, he was a little slow working in the garage on his enduro cars, and called me one day and says, "Hey, you got to check this place out in Fairhaven." I said, "Well, what's that?" He goes, "Little RC race cars." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, they look just like the big ones." I'm like, "Come on." So we head down here, and of course, this used to be a mobile home manufacturing facility. I know where it was. I grew up right here in Fairhaven, and we walked in, and I see the track and all these cars in here, and I'm like, "Wow, this is pretty cool." I didn't even know this kind of stuff existed, And so we got together, and my brother, I don't know where he got his cars from on the marketplace there on Facebook, and I asked my boy Aiden if he wanted to get involved, and he says, "Yeah, that looks like fun, Dad." It's like, all right, well, something for me and the kid to do, and shit, I think we drove all the way out to Cobleskill. Yeah, this guy was selling a whole lot. I mean, there was batteries, chargers, cars, tools. I mean, you name it. I mean, it was a big tote, just full of stuff for like $300-400. I had no idea what I was getting into. And so we drove all the way out there. We talked to the guy a little bit. There was an oval track out there. I don't know what it was called, but no longer in existence anymore. But we grabbed that. We got back, and we brought it here not knowing what to expect. So everybody in the pits was willing to help out. They got us in the right direction, and we built the cars so they were legal for the rules. And wouldn't you know what, the cars we bought weren't legal for nothing. So they went a lot more Dad's money. But so that's how that all started there. And then, we got racing along, and unfortunately some things happened here at the facility, and, there was talks of the owner not being able to keep it going. So we had talked to the Camara family, which is big into racing, and we wanted to keep it open. So we made the deal there with them, and they let us keep the place here, and the rest is history. It used to be called Otter Creek Raceway, and we changed the name and started fresh, and so that's how that all came about. Again, didn't know what to expect when we got into it, and then when we started promoting it, there was a whole different aspect on the other side, because we'd only been racing for, the fall, the end of 22 winter into 23, and then we took over August of 2023.
We came out here once, I think, for Otter Creek.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Ray
I think it
Muller.
was just once.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Muller talked us into coming out here.
Yeah,
It was okay. I'll say.
I'm sure it's definitely different now.
Oh,
dude,
it's
when we
a
were here,
ton
there was no
different.
dirt in the
So you
infield.
remember the concrete infield? So if you got
Yeah.
stuck, you just went in circles
Yeah.
because it was all dust. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Other than that, we got another question.
Yeah.
Uh,
You need a pen to check off where you
no,
are?
no.
You sure?
I'm gonna
You
use
got a bunch
my
right here.
use my eyeballs.
So you look like you need some glasses. You keep going like this with it.
No, I'm just tired.
Okay.
Let's see. There's a lot of questions
Go into
here.
the ownership in
The ownership and promotion section.
yeah.
All right. So, what's something that racers don't realize that takes into running the RC, like running Slate Valley in general, or any racetrack?
I hate to get into it because it's I see both sides of it is the money. Being an indoor facility, the overhead is pretty expensive. Rent, lights, heat. Um, there's comments that happen in the background of the cost and all that stuff, and I get it, and I don't. It's tough for me to try to explain to everybody what's going on, and I feel guilty because we charge for people to race. I have to run it as a business. I know it's a hobby, but to keep it growing, we try to give back as much as we can. So being an owner promoter, part of that is all the murmurs of the money, and everybody thinks that we're an owner promoter of an indoor track, that we're rich, and I can tell you right now that is not true. There was one point when we first started, and the wife, she was a little reluctant at first. She's coming around though. We love her. She told me that if any more of our personal money came out of the account to support the track, that we had to let it go. So I'm very happy that things took off the way that it did, and the track can support itself. But again, it is a hobby, and we do the best we can to give back as much as we can to the drivers. But yeah, that's a tough one, and I don't think a lot of people quite understand what goes into that. As far as the overhead goes, I'm not saying the outdoor tracks don't have overhead or nothing like that. It's just they don't have to pay for heat in the wintertime and electricity. A lot of people can run off generators, and there's gas there involved, but it can be tough. It can be real tough. And then a big area that's big 20-foot ceilings. I got 2 overhead heaters, and in the wintertime when it's cold, -20, come February time, it might be 50, 55 degrees in here, so you got to wear your hat and mittens. But that's in my opinion, that's the biggest thing is keeping the doors open with the income and stuff like that. But I really respect the Camaras and letting us have the facility. They work with us really well, so yeah, I think that's the biggest thing.
And the thing, anytime you go into business, you're not gonna 100% of the people are not gonna be happy.
No, I can tell
you
you that
just
right
hope
now.
that you can do the best.
Yep.
And some of them come around, some of them say, you know what, we're not going to race there anymore.
Right.
But if they walk out the door and they go somewhere else, they're going to run into the same cost. The fact that you have an indoor facility, people should be hugging you.
Yeah.
Because winters are long, and it gives them something to do in the wintertime. And if they're serious about it, which a lot of these guys do, put a ton of money into their stuff. That would kind of suck to just have them sitting on the shelf for the winter.
Right.
And it also gives them a plan B. So say in the summertime, you guys race Saturdays most of the time, right? Or Sundays?
Summertime or Sunday only, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So
If
most
you
of the
don't get
time
rain out.
most of the time in the summer, you guys, or most of the time outdoor tracks in the summer, spring, fall, you're gonna experience rain outs or weather related incidents. So if a racer wants to race twice a week, once a week, and the racetrack it's rained out, they come to an indoor track like Slate Valley or Full Throttle.
Yep.
And the indoor tracks don't shut down in the winter or the summer. They just keep running throughout the whole whole year.
We get pretty slow in the summertime. We average 20 to 25 entries, but I got to get what I can get.
Right.
And the wintertime, like I said, the wintertime is great, and I'm not complaining about that at all. It just when we're good in the wintertime, you put that money the next day on the side to be able to pay the rent and everything through the summer, and hope the heck you got enough to make it through. But that, like I said, that's the biggest thing here. The other thing is time. I got my track guy, Chris Lucier. He's here just about every day, and I get down here as much as I can, 2-3 days a week. Constantly just working the clay and doing our best to keep the water in it. And then as the temperature changes outside and changes inside, and how much water you put on it, how much you aerate it, how much you gotta, just flip that top quarter inch to get that clay sticky again. It's a lot more goes into it. A lot of people think, but you said it best there a few minutes ago, is you can't please 100% of people 100% of the time.
Right.
And I try to, and I gotta get better at not getting upset when I can't. It's like I try to be everybody's friend, and make the facility family friendly, and hopefully everybody leaves with a smile on their face at the end of the day.
All right. Let's see here. You already answered the next question while you're just talking about it. So my next question was, what goes into the prepping the track and each week, and how do you keep it the way it is, and who helps you with that? Who helps you with the track mostly?
Primarily Chris, myself, James Mars Jr. He started coming around there. End of last winter. I think he's got about a year under his belt now. He helps out when he can. Aiden's always here, whether he's helping or working on his cars. That's a different story. But my wife comes down and helps out. She does all the inventory and gets everything put in the system, and make sure that the place is as clean as possible. It is a dusty, it's a dirt track. It's dusty inside. They trim their slate out in the main building. The Camara Slate owns it, so they, that creates a lot of dust. So it's, a lot of people, a lot of helping hands. It's a lot goes into it. But as far as the track itself, we finally invested in a good heavy aerator to get that water down in the bottom as much as possible. We go from about 3.5, 4 inches at the bottom down in the apex, and we got almost 22 inches of clay up on the outside wall. So it's about 8-degree pitch in the corners. So being able to keep the moisture down as far as possible to keep that clay nice and wet, we needed something a little bit heavier to get those, holes penetrated in there deeper. So we do that a couple times a week. And then when the track, like after the UST was here, a couple weeks ago, the track, I was very happy with how the track held up. I was nervous, 160 something entries, and just shy of 20,000 laps, I think, went on that track Saturday. And I was nervous. I started seeing it, get glossy out of the corners, and I'm like, man, that thing's sealing over. And it went a lot of times when it seals over, it's hard to drag that back out. That clay gets hard and almost turns into concrete. But honestly, I was surprised to see when we started dragging it that it cleaned up real good. I didn't have to do a total top flip on it, and it was easy to run it back in. So I was very happy on how it held up. It wasn't super fast like we expected it to be, but I was more happy that it stayed consistent throughout the event.
It was a good. In my opinion, you're one of the best indoor tracks out there.
Well, I appreciate that.
Even though we struggle here, but it's one of the most upkept tracks, and one of the fastest, in my opinion. And it's very close to Motorama, so
I think one of the biggest gripes I get from a lot of people is how tight the corners are, and I get it.
Right.
Our race lines. I wish, if the lengthwise doesn't bother me, if we could bring that track out another 10 feet, give the race lines 14 feet, and open up them corners a little bit, I think it'd be a lot easier to handle. But it's nothing's perfect, and every track's different. Every track has its quirks, and I think that's what's great about racing is, as a driver, which I don't do much anymore, it's you got to figure it out, and constantly tuning on the cars, fixing them when you break, and resetting them up, and learning how to tighten them up, how to loosen them up. It's a lot like real racing, and a lot of guys, that are new into it, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is like real racing. I really got to adjust these cars and not just go out there turning left. So,
yeah.
It's a good time.
And we've gotten into that before too. Is you take it out for practice. The track is not going to be the same at practice that it is even in the first heat,
right?
Because you're running, like you said, you could be running 70, 80 cars between practice and your first heat. Yep. The track is going to change. I'm okay with that. I don't. And there's tracks out there that want that track to stay the same all night long.
Right.
There's no fun in that, because then you don't have to do anything. You
right.
need to figure out, what's the track going to do? I got a good idea that it's going to tighten up or it's going to loosen up or whatever. So you start adjusting your cars to that. And maybe you're going to be wrong. Maybe you're going to be right on the top. You don't know.
Yep.
But that's all part of racing. Doesn't matter whether it's a 10th scale car or a full size car. They're all doing the same thing.
Yep.
If you go into pits at Malta or Devil's Bowl or Lebanon Valley, they're constantly working on those cars. They're changing tire pressures or maybe changing stagger or whatever the case is. Stuff that we can't do, but
We can change tire preference.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Put some more Jimmy Juice on it.
Or Papa Willie's, get
Yeah.
your Jimmy Juice here
Papa
at
Willie's.
local sponsor up here at the Slate Valley Raceway's Jimmy Juice. And
we carry PRP
yeah.
and Papa Willie's as well, so we got a good selection up here. So.
get your Papa Willie's at papawillies.com.
Yeah.
Proud sponsor, Big Dog Race Shocks.
Tire prep is definitely huge though.
It's huge. It's huge, but in the RC world, it's a huge advantage to your tires and your the way you race, in my opinion. Next question is, how do you balance making racers happy while putting on a good show for the racers?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I got we go out to do a little bit of prep between the heats and the mains, and I got guys out there screaming, "More water!" That's for you, Ducka. The unicorn himself. He's hey, Kevin, more water.
You're bringing out the
right.
unicorn costume this year, Stan?
You never know. You never know. But and then you got drivers. They really they much rather have it a little slicked off. Watching the races and calling the races, I feel, running the small tire buggy classes, your sprint cars, your late models, your midgets and stuff. The guys that like the good tacky, track, it's a lot better for the small tire cars. And then, when it comes to the mud boss stuff, they tend to like the grip roll a bit more than, so they like it a little bit slicked off. But then there's other guys, they'd rather race loose dirt, and that's totally fine too. So when they come here and they realize it's high bite sometimes, and, again, it's about, car setups and stuff. But, it's, I don't know.
That's a tough question. I'm going to switch gears here. Slate Valley Raceway focus, so towards the track, rather. What's the biggest change you've done to the track that's improved, that you think has improved the racing?
All right. So, first off, when we took over, like I said, when we talked about earlier, that
Right.
the concrete in the middle, it got stuck down there. Your game was over, trying to get back up on the track. So when we first took over, we added the clay down there, and that made it a lot easier. We had those dreaded pipes, and everybody complained about the pipes. But I was like, we're sticking to our guns. We're keeping those pipes in there. But, it was costing the races a lot of money, especially with the carbon cars. They were breaking. And, so we looked at some other tracks, and they run those disc harrows. We found some smaller ones that weren't so aggressive. They work. It's still not a perfect scenario by any means, but I think that was an upgrade from the pipes. The only thing I don't like about those shells is keeping people from cutting the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's one of those things, and you got some races that really want that win for that 10-cent sticker, and they'll cut those corners all day long. You got to call them out, and it just gets annoying. But maybe the next year we added a lot more clay into the corners to give a little bit more banking, hoping that was going to create a second line somewhere in the middle. And I'm not saying it was total success, but it definitely helped as far as, when the leaders come up onto them slower cars, that they can now get up out of that small groove or the fast groove down at the bottom and not lose complete control of their car. Whereas before, I think if there was any kind of dust on the track at all, that get up out of that bottom groove, that they'd spin right around in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just that little, my opinion, that did help. It didn't create the second groove of racing like I was hoping, but it definitely helped out for the lap traffic to get out of the way of those leaders.
Yeah, in my opinion, it cleaned up the racing a little bit as well. What makes Slate Valley unique compared to other indoor racetracks?
Me.
You?
Yes.
Hey.
I would agree with that.
No, I don't know. Like, makes us unique compared to other tracks. Just different, like any
Right.
track you go to is different. As far as being unique, I don't know. I'd leave that one open to interpretation of the drivers to give you an answer on that one, because I don't know.
Yeah. So, if you race here, what makes Slate Valley unique in a way.
Yeah.
So
Just
just
comment.
put that in the comment section. Put that in.
I'd like to see what people have to say. The feedback's always good. You know, whether it's good or bad feedback, I always like to hear it. Sometimes it's tough to hear, but listen, any feedback is good feedback, no matter what. So
Right.
let us know what
He
you
does
think.
have a double-decker driver stand.
Oh, that thing's tall, man.
Yeah.
That's up there.
You
Oh.
can either
You can-
go up top, or you can stand right track side. So that's kind of different. Most places don't really have that. That's pretty cool.
Now, when we first started, we had the rule that you had to drive from the driver's stand, and a lot of guys like, it's way too tall. It's way too tall. It was there when we took the place over, so it's like I wasn't gonna change it. And I think 75% of the people drive from the floor, and the other 25% from the top. But I'd like to clean it up over there. You know, I got a lot of guys jumping that fence on the bottom when there's cars, flipped over on the front stretch, and I got to repair that thing all the time. And unfortunately, it's required by the insurance company to have it there. So,
thank God you have it there.
yeah, I got to maybe make a little platform there and clean that area up a little bit, and keep that fence. Maybe build a little shelf so people can put cars on or something. But I think that's a good one. Being unique, drive from the floor to the top, that works.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
Yes. In your opinion, what class do you think has the best racing?
Oh, best racing.
Or it could be the cleanest racing.
I will say, and nothing against my local guys. Like, everybody comes to support the track, whether you're here weekly,
Right.
monthly, yearly. We respect everybody. A lot of times, because all your local drivers are so much different, skill levels. You got your more advanced guys. You got your guys that are just starting out, and you combine them all into the same class, and that tends to get a little hairy sometimes. But as far as class specific, I would have to go towards the buggy classes, your sprints, your late models, your midgets and stuff. And I'm not saying that the racing's dirty by any means, but it gets rough because you have those different skill levels. Guys that are learning how to hold that line, learning how to get away the leaders, and just being patient. Driver etiquette takes time, in my opinion. It's not something that you learn right out of the gate, and showing that sportsmanship. Not to go off on a tangent talking about that, but
you can go off on a tangent.
It's just
every time.
We always talk about it at pit meeting, or drivers meeting, and I'm a driver. I've been there. When you're in the moment and you're racing and you're holding that line, you're focused on your car, and you get into somebody, you might not necessarily think right out of the way, like you got to stop or let them have their spot back or anything like that. Like, I understand that that happens, especially with younger drivers, newer drivers. It takes time, and people get frustrated, and I get it, but it comes, and people do get better. So as far as classes that have the cleanest racing, like I said, I'll lean towards sprint and midget, the mud boss stuff, because that's usually where everybody starts. Tends to be the rougher classes. We do something a little bit different. Oh, back to unique. Here's a good one. Most tracks do like a junior novice, and then they have their novice and then their sportsman. Ours is more skill level based. So we have our novice, then our limited sportsman, and then sportsman. And it kind of goes. I keep an eye on the drivers and how what their consistencies are before we move them up, to try to keep those scenarios down with the rough driving, to try to match skill levels as they get better. I think it helps. Other drivers might not think so. But honestly, the last year and a half, the mud boss classes have had lower car count compared to the sprints and midgets, and now you got the low Z sprint. I mean, that class just is banging right now, and the street stocks are coming around. Everybody wants these buggy cars, which is great. But you got to follow the trends, to get the car counts. And I just find that, like, the bigger races like the UST, or even the Winter Nationals, the Poor Boys event, when you have a humongous turnout, I think we had 203 cars for Poor Boys last fall. When you come to the mains, the drivers that qualify, I mean, they're best of the best, so the racing tends to be much better and cleaner, no matter what class it is. And like I said, I just not knocking any of the local guys. We respect everybody. I just think when you get more of the same talent together, and guys that have been doing it for a long, long time, it tends to be much cleaner racing. Right. And hope I don't get flack for that.
Hey,
I'm just trying to be honest.
You probably
right,
won't.
It's. But again, a lot of new guys at the track. They've come a long way, and it's those guys that are going to keep the hobbies going. So.
Yep. But you need the guys that are in the novice class. You need them. You need more people to get into the sport.
Yep.
Because they will move up from a Traxxas base car up to probably a street stock or a low C sprint. And I think that's my personal opinion. I think that what's kind of hurting the Traxxas base cars right now with the low C sprint because of the price.
Yeah, I mean, you get into a car 350 ready to go.
Ready, and you can actually buy it from you,
put it on the track,
take it out of the box, and put it on the track.
Yep.
And you can't do that with the Traxxas car.
Right.
There's work that has to be put into it, setups, and you got to change some stuff, and so it. I guess it just makes it that much easier. I don't think that the Traxxas base cars will ever go away.
No.
Because you're still going to get kids that want to race those, or even adults that want to race that type of vehicle because they look like a modified.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's almost like the stock market. Like they'll get up and then they'll fade off.
Yeah.
Then they'll come up and then they'll fade off.
Yeah. Well, when you had the minis, not what were the
mini Mud Boss?
Mini Mud Boss.
Oh God,
that went
when
nuts.
we first opened.
Hey, listen, that started because of Mark Gravity.
Yeah.
And then
they were
the
gone.
snap of the finger, they were gone.
Yeah.
And it kind of stunk. Like I thought that was a pretty cool class, and we had a guy, Earl Maxim. He's from New Hampshire, and he had bought one. He'd come over and he raced that first year we were open, and he had a blast. And somebody posted one on the page for sale, and he messaged me, "Hey, whose car is that? I want to buy it." All right, so we bought that one. Next one comes for sale. Same message from Earl. "Hey, I want to buy that one." He went over to Al's track a couple summers ago. 2 of them for sale over there, and he bought them. Last I knew, he had 42 of them.
Wow.
He wanted at the track. I think he's racing at the Bull Mill over in New Hampshire, and he was trying to build that class over there. And like I said, last I knew, I think he had 42 of them. If he's watching the podcast or sees it, I'll have to get corrected there. But Earl, real good dude, and like I said, he loved that class, and it faded off here, so he bought them all up, and he was I don't know if he runs them over there or what they do, but you name it, and he's got probably every replica body for him right now.
And the Traxxas Modified, same thing.
Yeah, so that Traxxas Modified was, it came out. It was one of those things where everybody had to have one, and it slowly
said
faded
Traxxas
off.
Mud Boss.
Yeah, and then people got mad because it said Mud Boss and not Modified. And listen, I'm not getting into that detail. We all understand what happened there. Some tracks won't offer it. Other tracks, I think Al's going bi-weekly this year with them. I'm not sure. That's his deal. But last I knew, we're the only ones offering them weekly. And maybe some of the outdoor tracks. I don't know if Foxtrot is.
Yeah, Foxtrot. They have a fairly good following with those.
Yeah. So TJ with GT Bodies, he created that Traxxas, the vintage body, and I was like thinking to myself, I understand people want the box stock classes to start out, I get it, but then you got guys that have been racing for a long time, buying these box stock classes, going out there and racing, and I get it, if they want to have fun just like everybody else, and but the way I look at it, I'm the only one really that's running them full time in the winter time, a couple tracks in the summer. So we added the body to the class. We added the RPM rear bumper. There's no benefit to that at all. The complaint there was there's nothing to grab onto the car when you're marshalling. You're getting your fingers cut through the bodies, and so we added that to have that a little bit better for marshalling purposes. And then everybody's like, "Oh, we got to change the radio. Can we change the radio? I want to be able to change the radio." I'm gonna pick on Steve Harrington for a minute. He was left-handed, and we took a vote in-house, because he's left-handed, to let him use his radio. And unfortunately, he had some stuff going on this winter. Wasn't able to make it up only but a couple times. And not saying it's going to happen, so don't take this that I'm saying yes. But in the future, at this point, if we're the only one running them, why are we keeping them box stock? A lot of guys still want them. They still want to race them. As far as shocks, transmission, and all that goes, and sticking with the same car with the tires, yes, it all's going to stay the same. But honestly, with the radio, yes, you can add drag brake, you can do that. Like the cars push like dump trucks anyway, so like, what's it matter?
Not gonna make them any better than they already are.
Right. And like again, another option to get into racing for a little inexpensive compared to some other classes. But we'll see what happens. You know,
Right.
it just I added that body. I got 2 more drivers, so that class, like I said, it was booming. 8, 10 cars. Then it was down to like 3 or 4. Now we're back up to like 5, maybe 6, depending on the day. But coming into the summertime, it's gonna fade back off again. So
Right. So, what upcoming events do you got planned here at Slate Valley? Even though the season's coming to the indoor season's coming to an end.
let me grab my schedule here.
There, yeah. Grab your schedule. I know it's swap meet and the
So I gotta make a
banquet
quick change here.
things.
Swap meet May 3rd. It's the day after the UST race in full throttle. Got a lot of flack over that one. Why would you do your banquet day after the big race? I'm like, well, I have a life too. It's personal. That's the only day that I had available. So it is what it is. I don't need to get into my details here to explain to everybody why I do my schedule the way I do it. But unfortunately, that was the day I had available to try to get everything done before outdoor season officially went underway. Maybe some of the outdoor guys will come here for the swap meet, try to pick up a good ride. I'm hoping we get a good turnout for that. We did have the Mother's Day Trophy race scheduled here for May 10th. We're still going to have that race, but there's not going to be any trophies. Just one of those things. Yesterday we opened up and we had a fun race scheduled and had 4 guys walk through the door yesterday. It was heartbreaking. I don't know what happened. I don't know I know the warm weather's here, and I do appreciate everybody coming out and support us here at the track. So I'm not knocking anybody by any means. It was just I was confused on why that happened. When that does happen, I always take it to heart. Like, is there something that I did wrong? And I don't know. It kind of threw me off. But when we have those fun races, those funds go towards different things, and one of them, a little bit of that money goes away for trophies. And without having any income on yesterday, I like I said, we'll still have the Mother's Day race, and all moms race for free. We've done that for the 3 years that we've been here. They race like the sportsmen, with the novice rules.
Mm-hmm.
They race for free. We usually buy them flowers, and they'll come here and have a good time. So that will still happen. There just won't be any trophies for the other classes. So that will change. Something new that we're starting this year is an enduro series. We have a lot of good turnouts for our enduros here. Everybody loves them because they can race 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, any battery size, just to go out there with a basher and have fun. We just turn the music on. I don't call a race. I just hit the go button, and they listen to it when it calls it down. Whoever wins, wins. I mean, that's just what it is. So that is our biggest. When we have a fun race here, we do that. We do the 200-lap team race sometimes. That one's kind of hit or miss. The enduros are always the number one. Everybody's asking for them. So we're going to do a series with those. It's on the schedule. Let's see. We got June 7th. Let's see what else we got.
And you guys switched to Sundays.
Yep, we're going Sundays only in the summer. Yep. So June 7th, we have the first enduro series race, and then I think there's only 3 or 4 of them. The 4th one will be October 25th, and there's a couple in between there. So it's $5 to enter that series, just for points fund or whatever you want to call it. And there's 4 races. We'll see how it goes this summer, and then maybe in the wintertime we'll do it a little bit bigger. But any car that enters starts. So it's always draw for starting position. There's no qualifying. It's always done at the end of the races. 100 laps of mayhem. Put some marshals. I was like, oh, we got to do it without marshals. Well, everybody's paying $5 to race. I want to be able to have them go out and have fun. And if you get dumped on the first lap and you're upside down, there's no marshal out there. That's not fun. So we do have the marshals for our enduros, and that's the way that we'll run that. June 21st, we have the Father's Day Trophy race. As long as everything goes good, that one will stay on par there. And in July, it's going to be our 2nd year. Everybody knows that we lost our friend Randy Dorr. He was a big supporter of the Stand Raceway. He supported us here at the track. and this will be our second year for the memorial race for Randy Dorr. Working out the details with Larry Gallipo. They were like brothers. We worked together at GE. So that'll be coming up in July on the 12th. Again, I don't know. He wasn't real big into trophy races, so to respect his wishes there, probably won't be trophies, but we always like to get together to celebrate our buddy Randy. So keep an eye out for that one. Taking a couple weeks off in July. The wife and I are heading to Florida. So July 19th and the 26th, there'll be no racing. And then the Addison County Fair invited us back up in Addison. That'll be on Tuesday, August 4th. And more to come on that. Toys for Tots series we have slated for August 23rd.
Yeah, sometime around there. Yeah.
Yep. If we have to move it a week or two, we can.
I mean, I'm gonna touch on the Toys for Tots series. So our plan is we're just gonna bring it to 2 tracks this year. We're gonna bring it to the stand, and we're gonna bring it to Slate Valley. The stand all the proceeds will go back to Capital Region Toys for Tots, and then the proceeds from here up at Slate Valley will go to the campaign that's in this area. I'm off the top of my head, I don't even know what it's called. So that's all I know. No one has been working good with us, which is the coordinator of the what do you call it? The campaign up here. That's what I'm gonna use. She's been working good with us, so she'll get the proceeds for this race up here at Slate Valley. And like I said, the stand will be the track that we're gonna be using for the race in the in our area, in the Capital Region Toys for Tots area. We decided not to run the whole series because, like every track around, it's hard to keep up onto the trophies and the plaques and so on and so forth. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of time that goes into it. And with RC racing, it's kind of hit. I don't even know what the word is. It's like you're going into a race like you're blindfolded, basically, because you don't know who's going to show up. Like Kevin said yesterday, Saturday, he only had 4 people show up, and who knows how much. Like that, it's hard to do that. Like the first year that we were doing it, we got a lot of people coming out to the races. I don't know if it was because we did the race on a regular night, or it was just because it was snap of the fingers and he said, "Oh, let's do a series." I was like, "That seems like a good idea."
Listen,
it always sounds good till it happens.
I think it was a great idea. I really thought that it was doing well, and I think it still will do well. You guys did a great job with it.
And I'm not saying that it's not going well. I'm just saying it's hard with our schedules and trying to pair the schedule with everybody else. It's just hard to get that.
I got something else.
Get that wrapped
on the
around.
Toys for Tots. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. Anyways,
Jeopardy, man. Come on.
oh Lord, what's this?
So,
Oh man.
if anybody's ever been to Devil's Bowl Speedway and knows some of our local racers here in the Fairhaven area, this body here is Bob Kilburn. We like to call him Santa Bob here. Him and his wife Chris, they really do what they can for the racing community. They love kids, and they stopped by the track not too long ago, and we got talking, and they were all excited about the Toys for Tots when I brought that up to them. So they went out and had 5 of these wraps made. Our plan was to give one away at every Toys for Tots series race, but we're gonna switch gears a little bit on that, and 2 of these bodies will be up for sale here at the track. 2 of them will be raffled off the day of the Toys for Tots race, and 1 of them will be given away to a younger driver that wants to get into racing. And all proceeds from the ones that sell and the ones that raffle will purchase either gloves, hats, and coats, or mittens and toys for the series to support that. So we're excited about that, and I want a huge thank you to Santa Bob and his wife. We call her Mrs. Claus at the track. Really big into the racing community. I think he's been down to Malta a couple times for practice. I think he was going to race there. I think he might have already raced there this year, and you'll see him up at Plattsburgh maybe a couple times this season. But full-time driver at Devil's Bowl Speedway, so huge thank you to the Kilburn race family.
So that's news to me. So
That's awesome.
that's awesome to know. We're looking forward to that race on August 23rd.
Yeah, we're slated for the 23rd. If you guys need to move it a week or two, just let me know.
Hey,
we can adjust
we
anything.
We work good with the racetracks around here to move them around.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I don't even know what day the stand's on. I think it might be around. It might be the week after the Nationals race. So, like we had it last year, we had it the day before, and we got a good turnout because it was basically a practice race to the. Wait, I think it got rained out. It got rained out last year. We were supposed to have it the day before the Nationals, or the weekend of the Nationals. So it was basically part of the Nationals, but it got rained out last year. This year, I think it's the week after the Nationals, so it works out for more racers, and hopefully we get more entries than what we usually get. That's really a wrap on the questions part there, Kevin. But where can people find the updates and stay connected with the Slate Valley Raceway?
So we got the Slate Valley Raceway page on Facebook. That one is just for me to post things and people can comment. Then we also have the Slate Valley Raceway group. I know it gets confusing, but the group is where everybody can post their stuff for sale or, ask questions and do as they wish. So I know there's certain things I can do on the page that I can't do on the group and vice versa. So a lot of times people say, where's the schedule? Where's the schedule? So the schedule will be posted in the group and pinned to the top. And then the rules are, see, now I'm confusing myself. I think the schedule is on the page pinned to the top, and the rules and stuff will be in the group on the top in the files tab. They're PDF files, so people can download those. I haven't updated them in a while, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully, the end of the summer before we get into next fall, I'll get some of the rules all updated as they're constantly changing and, new classes coming in and stuff like that. So, I just want to touch base on a few other things. There's a lot of questions going on classes that are being offered here at the track. One class that used to be huge here on Thursday nights was the crate late. That has declined super, super fast. We're not necessarily getting rid of it completely, but unless we see 5 drivers come to the track with that class, it'll be offered, but we won't run them. It's just one of those things where it just died off in the area. I know Throttle gets a whole bunch of them there weekly. I think it's just because it's, I don't know if they handle better on the big track because they're running that 10.5 hobby wing, which is, a great combination there. And the other one was the small block. I know we started that up to 17.5. We got a little gripe on that because it's, gets beat by the BL2s or whatever. And, we added the Hoosiers and Hot Laps thinking people would bring them back. And I know Wayne and Al and those guys, I think TJ brought his back. We tried to, keep it going. And like I said, we're not canceling them. It's just they're going to be kind of on the background thing. And, kind of like what we did with the Mini Mud Boss. We put it on the back shelf. People showed up, we'd run them. If not, then, unfortunately, we had to get rid of it. Super Street Stocks did the same thing. That was the LCG Traxxas-based street stock class, which when I first took the place over, that was one of our better classes. And then it just, I blame myself for that one. I opened up the rules a little bit to allow, different shocks because every other class was on a strict rule base. And I wanted a class that was kind of a little bit open for people to do, a little bit more. So it didn't have to be roar proof. They can run adjustable shocks and, still had to be in blinky mode and stuff like that. But that, that faded off. A lot of guys still run those in Enduro, so they don't have to get rid of their cars. And they do really well. So just a couple things that might be coming to the track here soon or leaving the track. So if you guys want, keep that small block or crate late class going, please bring them. The summer's going to be hard to tell because, like I said, we average about 20 cars a week. As we like to get out and do some racing too. We're going to be racing weekly at the stand, Aiden and I. Aiden's following the sprint tour. I wanted him to come here today, but he couldn't make it. And then, we want to try to get up the I guess Plattsburgh's building another track up there,
Yeah.
Andrew. So that's exciting. We're hoping to, if he gets that done this summer, we want to make a trip up there and test that one out. We'll try to make it down I-41 again. It's just tough with life and scheduling and stuff like that. We try to support the ones that support us here at the track and do the best we can. So.
Well, that's it's pretty much a wrap on this episode because we got no more questions for you, Kevin.
You answered like 5 of our questions in one question.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I
You-
ramble.
No,
which
no.
is okay.
That's my
Listen.
favorite thing to do. I
Listen.
mean, when I don't have to call races, I'm in the pits talking to people. That's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
do.
Right. which is what I like. And listen, if you ever watch our videos enough, we ramble for way too long, and it gets out of hand because I gotta steer him back from the right field down to home plate.
Oh man.
So it's pretty much a wrap on this episode here. So make sure you like, comment, and y'all subscribe. Yeah, that's what you just did.
Oh, okay.
You got any shout outs to people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You
who?
guys.
Like us?
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me to the show.
Well,
Well,
I
thanks
was
for
kind
having
of jealous.
us.
You guys are doing this all, and then I'm
Thanks for-
just kidding.
Thanks for inviting us out here.
No, it's great. I think what you guys are doing is really cool. Hope you guys get more people involved, and hope this spreads across the region and gets more people involved with the hobby, and people come visit, talk to you guys, message, comment,
Right.
and just spread the word. It's the more racers we have here, in my opinion, the more fun it is. When you have on average 8 classes or whatever running, and the more guys you got in those classes, the better the competition. It makes you a better driver. You got to
Absolutely
learn
does.
your setups, learn your cars, ask questions, and that's what keeps it going. So I think what you guys are doing here is an amazing thing. So I really appreciate you inviting me on and coming down to see me.
And I personally would like to thank Kevin. The first time we came here after Kevin owned it, he saw us come in with our stuff. He came right over to us, introduced himself, asked if we needed anything. He came back through, checked on us, and I thought we were special until the next time we came. And he does that to everybody that comes here. Everybody, whether you've been coming here for 2 or 3 years or you're the first time out, he personally comes to you and makes sure that you're going to enjoy yourself. And I think that's a really, really cool thing that he does. You get that at other tracks also, but Kevin just really goes out of his way to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. They have a good time. They have fun, because that's what you're supposed to do when you race these cars. So again, hats off to you, Kev,
Thank you, sir.
for doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a great ending statement. Great ending statement. But with no further ado, we got to thank you guys for watching us playing in their podcast episode.
I don't feel like we really played in any dirt, though.
No, but that's yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Playing in clay up here at Slate Valley Raceway.
Can I say one more thing, though?
Yeah.
So everybody knows I like to sell the 50-50.
Yeah.
If I've ever harassed anybody that felt uncomfortable, I'm not sorry.
Wait, hold on. Before we go, we got to touch on the fact that this past weekend, on April 28th, nope, not 28th, 18th, the 50-50 in this joint was $1,000.
I sold 1,000 tickets.
A whole roll of tickets.
Whole roll of tickets. I sold 1,000 tickets on Saturday.
I don't think I've ever seen a 50-50 in an RC track more than
How much did I sell for the Toys for Tots down at Al's place?
a lot.
A lot.
That was
I
pretty
don't-
good too.
I
That was
don't-
pretty good too.
I don't remember how much you sold.
Yep.
Maybe it's because you were on the back of a golf cart. I don't know.
I don't know. Everybody seems to think it's because I show my legs off, but I mean,
That could be.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
That's a
But
little weird. But
in my opinion, I've never seen a 50-50 that large at an RC event other than Motorama.
I know after
and-
the Toys for Tots race, Ryan Holland comes over and says, "Hey, I need you up to Foxtrot. You gotta sell the 50-50 for me." I wanted to. I just, how life happens. So
Yep.
maybe I'll get up there and help him out with his 50-50 once or twice. But if you know me, like I said, I like to run my mouth and talk and have fun, and
That's how you sell stuff.
that's it. You know,
That's how you
some
sell
people
stuff.
sell used cars. I sell 50-50 tickets.
Yeah.
You know, I've been told that I can sell a mud puddle to a trout. I don't know if that makes sense.
What?
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Uh,
Ice cube to an Eskimo, like I don't know. But
Yeah. I could sell an ice cube to a refrigerator. That's about it.
sure. I mean,
Um,
whatever you're doing.
I think that's it. That's an actual wrap.
That's an actual wrap.
That's
All
an
right,
actual wrap.
We're wrapping it
All
up.
right,
Yes,
guys.
we got to thank you guys for watching this episode of Playing in Dirt Podcast. Make sure you like and comment, subscribe. Follow our socials; they'll be down below, and I'll put Kevin's down there too, so you can follow him on his track on Slate Valley Raceway. And episode number 12, we're gonna be previewing the UST race number 2 at Full Throttle RC Park, the Capital City Clash. We'll frickin' see you later.
We'll see you there.
See.
All right, that's good. All right.
Yep.